connect your project and product lifecycles, enable seamless collaboration, simplify workflows for faster delivery, and improve complex data management to gain superior insights and results.
Afternoon, ladies and gents. Today we're going to discuss about early design exploration, shaping the built environment with Autodesk Forma. So during the first webinar that we had, it's all about the introduction of AEC and ACC. So right now, we're moving forward for the first series of this webinar, which is all about Forma. So our speakers for today will be Miss Talina Wad. She's from Accenta. She's the customer success specialist for Accenta. And then we have Ram. Ram is the senior technical specialist for Reddington. As we all know, Miss Talina is an architect. She's also a BIM Collaborate Pro expert, and she has been an expert of Forma for quite some time now. We also have Mr. Ram. Mr. Ram is, of course, he's a technical specialist at Reddington, Middle East and Africa. He's also, he has an expertise of 20 plus years experience in technicals when it comes to Autodesk industry solutions in the AECO sectors. And of course, he is also a BIM coordinator, driving MEP team, also a coach who guide projects team to be more competitive in the design to build projects. So the agenda for today is evolution of digital transformation, introduction to Forma, technical introduction to Forma, and of course, there's going to be a Q&A. So moving along, Mr. Ram, you can take it from here.
Really hoping that you all having a good health, and thank you so much for sparing your time for this webinar. Today's webinar, we're going to see a lot of changes happening in our industry when it comes into architecture, engineering, construction, and the operations as well. And the slide which you are being on the screen now, some of you are more familiar with that, and some of you are quite new on it. So let's see how exactly our industry is evolving into the so-called cloud connections. There was a time, or there was a year, we all into the drafting, which I can understand that, the people who joined this are not missing this opportunity had before of the AutoCAD drafting tool or other drafting tool in order to make sure the drawing precision is correct. And then we started evolving those 2D drawings into the 3D parametric modeling as well. And that's where we call it as BIM 1.0, like Building Information Modeling 1.0. And now if you are a project team people connecting with other project stakeholder using your project models seamlessly connected on the cloud, then you are on a BIM 2.0 here. So that BIM cloud connected meaning you are connecting with the various project teams across the boundaries and sharing their ideas, which can make the team efficient into the project completion as well. Yeah, go to next slide, Sabal. Amazing. So now we have, there are 4 industry sectors when it comes into Autodesk AEC, like architecture, engineering, and construction. So if you see into the buildings, now we can see how buildings were started from the scratch of the manual drafting and also the automated 2D drafting and into the BIM and into the BIM cloud. And building information modeling is not only for the building projects. So don't be surprised that why it's called as a building information modeling. It's just like kind of a building relationship, right? So the building information modeling also can be used efficiently into the transportation, where you can come up with a wonderful civil infrastructure across the bridges and the railways as well. And now there's another solution which is evolving a lot around us to get a proper solution on the water infrastructure as well, and to the industrial construction and industrial constructions as well. So moving forward to the other slide. Great. So now again, so let's have a quick view on how Autodesk led into 3D digital transformation over here. So this is just like talking about the technology over 40 years before, like how we started our journey in the drafting, CAD tools, BIM 1.0 and BIM 2.0. So overall, the presentation for today is what we're going to learn is on the next slide now. Exactly. So what is BIM today? It's all starts up about the planning, where you have to come up with the conceptual design, having a great minds in your team, discussing a lot about the energy analysis, and also MEP team or talking about more of heating and cooling load calculations and the way of the sustainability as well. And then you'll get on the tool where you have to come up with a design. That's where you started making the designs from LOD 100 to LOD 300 or 350, 400, 450, so on up to the constructions as well. So when it comes into the operation, that's where you just get into like kind of facility management and the life cycle analysis, where the sequential of data you see it's like fragmented. So how we can just get along with that and how we can just make a better construction using that early design analysis for any such wider projects. Next slide,
Yeah, if
please.
I can interrupt you, actually, this is the whole point of our webinar series, is that we're walking you through all of the project lifecycle phases, from the planning to design to construction, all the way to operations. So if you have noticed, our last webinar was actually a bundle of everything. It was the umbrella webinar. Today, we're focusing more on planning, which you will see in a bit. But thank you. Go ahead, Ram.
Thank you so much, Colleen, for emphasizing that. Yeah. So now if you see the world is different today than in another 5 years, what you see, like, a lot many people gonna be talking more about the resiliencies, the sustainability, and they don't want to have the Excel sheet with a lot of data filled or such kind of the data like manual entry. They wanted to have such a wonderful visualization that can show a graphical representation of the exact project situations and the various different packages. And when it comes into the work, there was a time where people are, as a team, using the BIM models, putting the model all together in the network server. There is a bandwidth or also the traffic where the entire day of work can be served or synchronized into the network. But now it's all totally changed where you have a remote work as well, where you can just work anywhere at any time and you can just connect with the project's access that you have. And also, like, there are a lot of other consequences we're facing in the project area where the labor shortage as well and the material supply chain when it comes into the buildings or the industrialization as well. So moving on to the accelerated digitalization here, the so-called AI, artificial intelligence features also available in most of the Autodesk products now, which are friendly usable and can give you the various ideas which can bring your thoughts into the visualization. And the owners also show interest on viewing the digital twin model before it get constructed into the construction sites as well. And you also will see a lot of extended tools which can able to handle your data and also which can give the seamless ability to connect with all the project stakeholders over here. So go to next slide. And this is where now we're going to see how BIM, as we know, it must evolve to meet the industry needs. Yeah. Next slide, please. Yeah, that's where it is. So you've already seen this slide like before, like I showed the same slide for 2 times, and now you can also see this as a future of BIM. So now from BIM 1.0 and BIM 2.0 onto the Cloud Connect, and now we are moving into the future of BIM. So what's the future of BIM? We're going to see it on the next slide now. Amazing. The future of BIM is powered by better connected data because there are some phases happen as Tolin mentioned before. Planning, design, construction, operation, all these phases are involved with the design team, the great minds behind who comes with the ideas, and the large amount of data being used to generate those models. Yeah. Next, please. You are right. So now you have a better clarity how our AEC technologies evolved now, so-called BIM 3.0, which is a better outcome based one. And that's what we're gonna know what exactly the urban planning structure when it comes to the early stage design. That's where we're gonna see a lot more highlights from today's presentation, which is called Autodesk Forma. Next one, please. Great. So many people say that there's a digital thread, the data as a continuous thread to maintain the connectivity. But if you see the flow of data over here, it is connecting with all phases of the people where you can share the better ideas, transition between the stages. You have well control of managing the data in terms of making the data, sending the data to the right team, the right person at the right time, to the right hand. And you have a lot of capability of visualizing that collaborations before the pre-construction stage and also the field management. And before it's get into the operation, you have a versatile idea of getting hold of the commissioning and handover. So that's what you see, the flow of data, which is starts from the planning stage and the operation stage, all are built together. The next slide will show more in detail. Amazing. So the better data flow, but still there's a highly iterative process, right? If you can see after the current state here, lots of rework, and both front and back we have to do there, and we have to just monitor the status, the forecast, the budgeting, and also when it comes into the construction, the pre-construction, field management and stuff. After that, the outcome is the sustainability we need to achieve it. There should be a cost factor we have to keep in mind for every project aspect. And also the most important one is the time of delivery of every project over here. Go to next slide. Amazing. So now if you can see the outcome based powered by artificial intelligence over here, the most if you can see here is the faster and more seamless when it comes into the operations. Yeah, you have a better idea of visualizing your model from the high perspective, and you can also just consider like planning stage, how about the simulations can happen, the energy analysis can happen, the better parking layouts, and also kind of the automated generative design, which can help you to come up with a different design option. So if you consider all of those, right, you are saving a lot of time, and you people involve the great minds to come up with the better outcomes for every projects the beginning start with. Next one, please. All right. So there also just like kind of a scenario that I have explained, that how the AEC led into the 3D digital transformation. Now I'm just giving it to Tolin, who can talk more change happen into the early stage design and analysis. Thank you so much. Over to you, Tolin.
Thank you, Ram, for this introduction, because this was very important actually to talk about how did we get into Forma? How did we get to actually creating Forma, using Forma? How did AI affect? How does the BIM work? How did it add this very smooth for product delivery, for project delivery, and so on. So if you move next, now you're going to know what this webinar is about. Basically, our view is that the best place to begin to improve these fragmented processes is at the beginning of any new project in an early stage planning. So when the design is most fluid, architects and planners have to make choices very quickly, often without the data to support key project decisions. So these decisions have lasting consequences all the way through the operational phase of a building. So if we move next. Now, the stakes of these early stage decisions are very high, with lasting impact throughout the project lifecycle. So according to Scansa, more than 50% of residential projects value can be realized in the early stage design phase. So key project decisions made at this point, such as massing, layout, have lasting consequences. As the design progresses into later phases of the project, those fundamental design choices become hard or even impossible to change with current tools, which are usually optimized for a specific project phase. Next, please. Now, there are many complex and often competing requirements in planning and early design stage. So sustainability for architects, planners, engineers is about building codes, regulations, site and parking, program and community, but it can also be, if you can click, it can be carbon, cost, energy, materials. So these may be some of the primary drivers, and there could be many others. Now, if we go next. Now, planning and early design decisions have very large impacts on project outcomes, as we had said. Now, there are three keys to impactful design. First, we have efficiency. We also have integrated design and collaboration. And lastly, data-driven insights. So what do we mean by that? Basically, with these three keys to impactful design, we got to the point where Forma was created. How can Forma help us achieve all of these three keys to impactful design? So now we're going to introduce you to Forma, the software we will be talking about. Next, please. Now, Ram has done a wonderful job introducing how did we get to BIM, how did BIM go from 1.0 to 2.0, and so on. Now, in the last 40 years, Autodesk led 3 digital transformations. And the first one was the move from hand drafting to electronic drawings with CAD and AutoCAD. The second one was 20 years ago with the introduction of BIM. It was moving from 2D to 3D with model-based approach, and it was 3D parametric modeling for all disciplines in AEC. And finally, about 6 to 7 years ago, we started to connect the data in the cloud. And we believe that today, with COVID, connecting the data in the cloud is moving way forward, and all of the industries have adopted the concept. Now, we don't connecting data to the cloud as a new digital transformation. It's just a disruption that it really happened because of what's happening in the world right now. Forma will realize the future of BIM with an outcloud-based approach. But I want to be clear, Forma is not a replacement for our existing portfolio or for BIM. It's just a different way of working. Today, basically, we have our BIM product, and then Forma comes on top of it. It helps us do all of these analysis since it has an AI integration and input plugin within. So it will help us actually have better and more centric outcomes. Next, please. So now I will go into details of what is Forma, what's the capabilities of Forma. So with Forma, we can actually create 3D modeling with contextual data. We can actually create real-time impact analysis. And lastly, open APIs and connected workflows. Now, let's take it into a very simpler matter. If we go next, we can see the key features in a more simple way. Now, it's very intuitive and easy to use. It has fully rendered 3D environments. You can rapid cloud computing. It has automatic data sets such as terrain, buildings. You can also create advanced analysis, including noise, wind. It has Revit interoperability. There are smart 2D and 3D design tools. We can, of course, design your parking, which is one of the hardest things to do as architects, engineers, and so on. You can also sketch your plan in Forma itself. You can visually compare different proposals together. So this is very important when we're dealing with clients, of course. You can show them different proposals, how does the wind affect this proposal, and so on. And if you are living in the Middle East, you surely know the problems when it comes to sunlight, especially in the morning, especially in summer. I believe, Ram, you know the struggle of that. So with Forma, you can actually experience around to get less hurtful sunlight, let's say, during summer. You can import and export file formats, and lastly, previewer access.
That's really true, Colleen. You know what? I personally just tried that parking design where I can understand that how Forma can help the customers to come up with space planning as well. Exactly. And you can have a better decision of coming up with the different design options. And also it can give you the insights of which area would be the best suitable for a parking structures, and also how come the parking layout can be just occupied over there along with the existing parking sites as well. That's
Thank you. Thank you for this addition, Ram. Indeed, parking is a problem for everyone. Next, please. So just to walk you a little bit through our portfolio. So we have end-to-end solutions portfolio for buildings. So this was the whole idea of our webinar, to show you how we can use different softwares throughout the project lifecycle. So we have our project stages here at the beginning of the slide. We have the planning, design, construction, and operations. So we, this is of course our suggestion. Of course, there can be many more, but we found out that these solutions that we have right here are working best when we came into working with our clients. So this is what we're suggesting for you. Now, some of the solutions for the planning phase is, of course, Autodesk Forma, which is the best. And then we have Recap Pro as well. If you watched our last webinar, Ram actually gave a very interesting introduction to Recap Pro. If you want, Ram, you can just tell us a very brief sentence about Recap Pro if someone doesn't know it here.
Yeah, amazing. So when you see into the planning stage, Autodesk Forma, that's where we all are now into the webinar. But when it comes into the Recap Pro, so what do you think? It's called as Recap Pro. Any guess? If you have any comments on that, you can just put it in the chat box as well. We love to see who can understand what is Recap Pro or why the software is used for. This will give some seconds to get some responses from the audience. So yeah, people in this webinar, do you have any idea about the Recap Pro? What is it for? Who can use it and why it's used in this industry? And it's a good clue that you can just put it in a planning stage. Then you can just give it a try.
Can I give a guess?
All right. So yeah, let's continue. So Recap Pro, it's like a reality capture. Just imagine if you're just coming up with a new project where the existing site condition have hospitals around it, or the schools around it, or the airports around it, or any industrial constructions are happening over there. So the Recap Pro, what normally does is it just created like a technology way of just scanning that entire site conditions using your laser scanning, or nowadays you can see a lot of drone cameras also available, and it's going to detect all the area into the type of the point cloud data. So the point cloud data, you have to use it to fine tune the objects, where you can also just deriving the model from the as-built as well. And that's where you are using that software called Recap Pro Reality Capture Professional. So what this does is it has got various tools which can also work along with the Revit model, and it does exactly, if you see there's a hole on a pavement, or there's a hole on the parking slot, or some stripes are just broken, you're going to see exactly what's there in the site conditions and put it into the model, and that's where it will also help you to derive the quantities, and also you can also have the collaboration to have it on the cloud itself, right? Reality capture. And once that existing data is ready for the projects who says that they don't have the as-built drawings, right? When it comes to MEP services, they're going to use this technology with the laser scanning, capture out of that, and then you're going to use it in the relevant data, and that's where you're going to build the as-built over here. That's the very interesting solution for the project
Indeed.
owners who says they don't have the as-built drawings as well. Yeah, that's right.
Indeed. Thank you for this intro. Very helpful, yeah. Very helpful. Now, that's for the planning phase. For the design phase, it's more about the AAC collection. So what do we mean by that? Part of the AAC collection is AutoCAD, Revit, InfraWorks, Inside, Dynamo, Navisworks. All of these are in the AAC collection. So you can use these for the design phase. For the construction phase, it's more about project management. So here comes along Autodesk Construction Cloud, which is build, takeoff, and so on. Lastly, we have operations. So for the operational phase, we recommend you use Autodesk Tandem. So Autodesk Tandem is our solution for digital twin. So here comes the actual AI integration. So digital twin, if some of you don't know, is the actual exact replica of a real-time building, but on your computer. So what you can do with that is you can create a lot of analysis. And Ram is an expert here, so I can't talk much about digital twin when he's with us on the call. So just a very quick brief on digital twin or tandem, to be specific.
All right. That's great. Thank you, Tulin. See, digital twin, where it becomes like a very common phrase in the industry now, right? So when we talk about the digital twin here, we are talking to our industry, architecture, engineering, and construction. So what happened here is, let's say, for example, you are just coming up with a commercial building where you have to just keep your all the data sensors active and wanted to know live where the things are happening, and if any clashes are happening, or you need to just get electrical items, or if you wanted to just monitor all the chilled water and the cold water, domestic waters, and you need to just consider about the service maintenance as well. So this digital twin, what happened here is you're going to model it from the scratch. For example, it doesn't happen like kind of I have a building, can I make that as a digital? Yeah, of course. Just you can do that using this Recap Pro, the first one, which I said that you're going to capture the entire building as a laser. But what happened here is if you have the project which is already begin to start with that BIM, you're gonna just put up all the data in it, and all those data, the real data sensors, which can have the manufacturer's list, the amps for the current, the luminance lights and those stuff. So it's gonna be give you the AIM very clear, the asset information management, and also it can also deliver the details wonderfully for any such kind of the life cycle assessment that you wanted to hand out the documents to the operation stages, which can give you the end result of finding out where the problems are occurring, when is the next service due, and what are the systems are happened over here. And if you wanted to consider your engineering statistics based on any of the heat recovery units, yes, you can just get them on live to track where the incidents are happening. And that's a solution from Autodesk. We use as a software called Autodesk Tandem for the solution in AEC for digital twin.
Thank you. Thank you, Ram, again. So that was a very exact introduction to Tandem. So thank you for that. Now we showed you the products that can be used for each and every project phase. Now for the whole phase, or like the visualization, content, and management and collaboration, we recommend you use BIM Collaborate Pro, Navisworks, and Doc. So these will take your project to a whole new level.
And Tolin, the users, those who are in this webinar, I'm not sure how much they are aware of BIM Collaborate Pro here, but for them, we have an answer that Tandem is a part of BIM Collaborate Pro. Yeah, so that if you have the license of accessing the BIM Collaborate Pro, then you have the subscriptions also available for Tandem. And if you wanted to have a hands-on experience, how the Tandem looks like, how the digital twin for our projects will explore it, reach out to us for a wonderful hands-on experience on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ram. Thank you. And actually, if because this is a series of webinars, we will be talking about Tandem, but by the end of our series, since it's in the operational phase. So please stay tuned for any other webinars that we will be posting on our account and marketing around. So if we move next. Back to Forma. So with Forma, we can create different analyses such as wind analysis, daylight potential. You can actually also create programmatic functions. You can compare analysis together. So this is more for the proposal phase. When you're dealing with clients, you want to show them different proposals. You can show them the sun analysis for those who live in Dubai and know the struggle. You can also create a microclimate analysis as well. For you guys. So it's going to pop up in a bit. Don't worry, it's not a quiz. It's not marked. So just feel free ahead and choose whatever answer that you think is suitable for you. So there's a couple of questions, like how important are sustainability and energy modeling features when choosing a design tool? How important do you think it is? What specific challenges in your design process do you hope Autodesk Forma will address? Is it 3D design and visualization? Is it real-time collaboration, building performance analysis, or sustainability and energy modeling? What is the biggest challenge you're hoping Autodesk Forma will help you solve? Is it improving collaboration across teams, streamlining the design process, enhancing sustainability in projects, or lastly, reducing project timelines? And would you be interested in a hands-on training session after the webinar? I'm getting a lot of yes, definitely. That's very good.
How important are the
So
sustainability and energy modeling features? I could see the responses are, they said that extremely important, very important. The bottom line is Yes, it's important. And what
It is.
specific challenges in your design process do you hope Autodesk Forma will address? That's fantastic. It addresses the 3D design and the visualization for the better space planning and the real-time collaboration with your Revit project users, wherein there's a separate add-in available where you can take your Revit model to the Forma on back and front, and sustainability and energy modeling as well. And yes, building performance analysis mention it here. And what is the biggest challenge you are hoping Autodesk Forma will help you to resolve? Absolutely. It helps you to reduce your project timeline, and also it can enhance your collaboration across the team, which
Mhm.
can help the design process streamlined to your sustainability. And
Indeed.
yeah, of course, I can see, yeah, definitely everyone just mentioned like, they need to have the hands-on practice and we'll reach out to you on that. That's fantastic. Thank you for your responses over here.
Thank you, everyone. We talked about Forma. Let me show you just a little bit in Forma itself. So in Forma, you can actually choose the geolocation of your project. So you can actually go around, type in the address. So this will give you all of the climate information, everything that has to do with the analysis. We get it from the geolocation. So here I'm just typing around a location in Dubai where our project will be, and just to show you how we can choose the exact location. So if we move forward, great. Now on to the next tool.
Yeah, this where I'm just
Great.
trying to comment on it. We do also have a lot of cards where you can choose the type of maps that you want. For example, if you're looking for the road maps, yeah, you have a different road maps available. Or if you wanted to have the maps for only for the terrains, or you need to have the maps for the parking. There are various maps available as part of your geographic location, and you're gonna spot the area where you wanted to come for the better design, and that's
Perfect. Thank you, Ram. Now, Isabel, if you can go to the next slide. Next again. So something else that we can start using in Forma, which is our design tools here in Forma. Now, with Forma, you can actually start building out these blob. It's more for the schematic design, and you can actually set the functions of each building. So we have the programmatic functions. So let's say we have a couple of buildings. This building, I'm going to give it the function of a parking, or let's say a commercial building, a residential building. So again, this is showing you how it's very helpful for when it comes to if you're meeting with a client, if you're meeting with your whole team, you want to show them the proposal that you have. So it's really helpful when it comes to that. Now we can simply just select as many number of buildings as we wish, and then just like give them a function of the need that we need to have. So this is just to show you how we can choose the function of it. There is residential, commercial, and unspecified, but you can add your own later on. And even if, let's say, we want to make the first floor a commercial floor, we can also do that. So this is very helpful, honestly. Do you have anything to comment on that?
yeah. Yeah, and Tolan, I wanted to emphasize more on the site development as well. Now, what they say in this short video that there are three, like kind of a conceptual building have been elevated with the number of floors as well, isn't it? So now what we can also do is using the AI feature that design also can be shown in a different area. categories as well. So whether now you can see all the four housing, I can say it's like a housing building, right? The four housing buildings are next to each other, and you can also use a site development feature where it can also give you by keeping the parking in middle of those three towers, and whether the three towers gonna be like one tower, one single tower, just divided into the different floors. It's called just generating a couple of new designs for you, and you love the feature where it's going to save a lot of time when it comes to the space planning, and as well as better design options as well.
Indeed,
And Tulin, I just have a small doubt here. How does it differ from format, Autodesk format and Autodesk Forma, and the massing studies which we do within the Revit solution as well? Can you just quickly tell the
Of course. Thank you for this question, honestly. Now, for format, if anyone knows about it, it was back in the days. Now, format is part of Forma. So format was more for the sketching part, and Revit was more for, let's say, adding a more detailed structures, a more detailed elements. So with Forma, what we can do is that we have the capabilities of format. On top of that, we have the analysis part. So if we move next, we can show you how we can create analysis. If we go to the next slide. So with Forma, we can create analysis. We can specify the location of the building itself, the site itself. So it helps us a lot when it comes to running reports, not having to go to another software, because there were no software for this specific function, let's say. Now, when it comes to Revit, we can also extract our Forma building and just import it right into Revit. So that's very helpful when it comes to developing masses and everything, because in Revit, you can also do these schematic designs. So Forma will help us when it comes to that, actually. And in the video, what we're seeing is we have our sunlight analysis, and we're visually comparing it to different proposals. So we have proposal A and proposal B. Here we can have this pinpoint. We can see how different it is in different locations. So it's reflected on both proposals. Here we can see which proposal works best when it comes to daylight sunlight. Great, so I think we got the point from this video. So if we move next. So the next slide actually answers your question again, Ram. So this shows you how we can use enhanced 3D sketch and floor plans in the next slide. So
And
now you can
other,
see.
the other point where I can mention over here is you don't feel the model is just getting hanged or it just takes too much optimized one for the computer. So when you're doing this kind of a massing studies in a normal Revit on a normal single desktop, right, you face a lot of hurdles when it comes into high-rise towers. And as you mentioned that Revit, we can use it for a lot of detailed structures. Since Autodesk Forma is a cloud platform, you have no hurdles of using the model at any level or any design options, where you can also seamlessly take this Forma model into the Revit and back and forth as well here.
Indeed,
Yeah.
indeed. Thank you, Ram. So here we can see in the video how they're creating floor plans in each of the building units that we're building. So if we go next. So this only shows you how there are enhanced 3D sketch floor plans, but then you can also set the functions for each of the massings that you have. So this works perfectly for the planning phase, if you want to take my opinion, honestly. So if we go next. Next is a new feature, which is very interesting. I am currently using it in all of my projects, which is the board, the Autodesk Docs board. So here there's an integrated experience with ACC. So we can, when we're in the planning phase, it's all about boards, planning, having this and that, sticky notes. So this is exactly what Forma integrated into its solution. So we can start adding all of these sticky notes, but in your computer itself. So this is very helpful when it's in the planning phase. It helps you set your information straight. It helps you work better towards, let's say, the design phase and so on. Next,
And
please.
using this boards also, if some of the other project team wanted to share their ideas, they don't want to just make a screenshot of it and they don't want to use it in the email communication anymore. Just having one dashboard over here, they can come up with their own ideas, and then all their ideas are centralized over here for the wonderful decision making, which they can save a lot of time. I hope the users, those who are attending, can understand the pain of spending time on this.
Exactly, exactly. And great. So something else that you can actually access, which is the top navigation bar. What do we mean by that? If you start the video, we can see how we can move from one place to another. So this is also very easy to transition from the Forma app to the platform itself. So this is more for an easy access, just to show you how user-friendly Forma is. Next, please. Now, in the board itself, now it's much easier to collaborate and communicate on your projects. Now you can add comments directly on the board. You can mention other team members. So this is exactly as if you're having this board on a wall and you're just like negotiating together till you get the perfect solution. Next, please. Something else is that you can send out invitation messages for the project itself. So this is for an improved collaboration. So we can send it out to different people on the team so they can see the project itself. Next, please. Now, honestly, whenever I talk about Forma, I love to show them how the analysis work. How does it look like? How does it affect the whole project itself? How wide it can be, honestly. So we're not talking about one mass, about one location, about one building. We're talking about the whole site. And honestly, when it comes to urban planning, Forma. Go for Forma, or even just for a simple architectural project, Forma all the time. Next, please. And now there's an expanded rapid wind analysis area. So as I was telling you, it's not only about one building, it's about the whole site. And here it's about the whole village. So we're talking about a huge amount of land that can be analyzed and getting into the reports for yourself and the project. Next, please. And here we can show you the daylight potential. So here it allows you for a more granular statistics. You can also press on a specific surface of the building to display its daylight metrics as well.
And also, Tolin,
Next.
just to add more on this one, when you are just catching up with that every zone over here, you can also see the better metrics, which can show exactly what's the metric rates on the facades and what's the metric rate on the the overall daylight potential. And before this slide, we are also just talking about the analysis part over, right? So they can have the prediction of those analysis when it comes to the type of projects, for example. So we can just say it like kind of airports, or we can just say like hospitals, the schools. So this noise analysis will help the designers to come up with a very well predictions, and that's where they can have a better insight about calculating their stuff, which is efficient mode for them to bring up their more ideas into that at the early stage itself.
Indeed, indeed. And by the way, Ram, if we move to the next slide, we can see that now we can export wind and microclimate analysis statistics as SVG and PDF images. So this will help you extract the analysis results and integrate them into other downstream documentation workflows, for an example. So if we go next. And there's also embodied carbon, where it supports segmented building structures. So you accurately calculate areas for multi-structural buildings and ensuring more precise simulations. So this is particularly for large developments where multiple buildings with different program and construction systems are interconnected. Next, please.
And also the users, those who are in this webinar, if you were the user of Autodesk Format, I wanted to tell that the Autodesk Format is not available now. So it's gonna be like kind of the Autodesk Forma, which has got more capability of understanding the early design stage and what exactly you need about the carbon emission, what exactly you need to know about the space planning, and what exactly you need to know about the generative features within that designation of the each buildings, and even that wind analysis as well.
Indeed, indeed. So next, please. You can also create microclimate analysis on the rooftops. So that's something new as well. And honestly, if you know that microclimate analysis was introduced based on user feedback. So this shows you how Autodesk also listens to your needs, and it actually better from the program itself, depending on the needs of the users. Next, please. And lastly, you can import an external OBJ file or an IFC file into Forma itself. So if you were working on another software, you can simply just import it, and you can export your Forma file into Revit. So it has Revit interoperability as well. So basically, we try to give you some tips and tricks and some key features from here and there, just to show you the product in a very brief manner. This is a brief manner, trust me, because there's much more for Forma than all of the stuff that we showed you. So again, if you'd like to see a more detailed, let's say demo on Forma, just drop us an email. Maybe we can add this to our webinar series. We'll see, depending on your feedback, of course. And if we go next, this was actually the last thing we wanted to add here. So I want to thank everyone for joining. And before we end, I'd like to see if there are any questions that you'd like to add. We'd be more than happy to answer.
To hear your comments in the Q&A, which is very well important for us, which can we drive the next webinar as well, because this is not the last webinar. As we said that it's a webinar series, and this is a second webinar and a lot more to come. The more feedback from you, it can just make us so concrete, and we can just deliver what exactly you experts need on your projects. So we love to hear some comments from your side.
Indeed, indeed. So if you remember any question, you can also send it via email. I believe you have my email and Ram's email for now. So again, thank you all for joining us today. It was lovely having you. Please stay tuned for our next webinar.
Yeah, Isabel, I request you to flash the last slide where the users can catch hold of the mobile numbers and the email ID. If
Yes.
they fantastic, thank you so much. So here the information for you in case of any workshops or any details more that you need. Of course, we do understand that 1 hour of webinar, it's very short time of giving you the highlights, and some of you felt like it's faster, some of you may feel very slow, or some of you may feel that you are already using that Forma, so that you can understand and you can also just align with us. If you need to know more about Forma, and if you need to know more about any sort of the early design stage analysis, just reach out to us, and we'll be also happy to reach out to you with more highlights to that. Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone, and have a great day.